So it's here, the Bug Strikes Back update, everything you need to know. I'm going to go through the patch notes, take a look at the devs video as we're talking about it as well. Big changes, and the devs do stress that maybe it would be a good idea to experience Grounded fresh, to see how the new experiences, especially for obviously newer players, but definitely for older players, see how the kind of flow goes well for it. Of course, this update adds a whole bunch of base defenses, and I've been calling it one of Grounded's best updates in a while. It adds replayability, adds longevity, adds more to the game than I think any kind of brand new update with a new area that you'll rinse through in a few hours. So let's go through the patch notes, and there, let's do it. Bug Strike Back is here. Check your consoles, update it, and PC. Let's go. One last thing to say, you don't have to start a fresh new save though. You will be able to persist in your world, but you will maybe have to redo a lot of the burgle quests to go and get the chips if you want to keep up with stuff that's been going on with the story and potentially get future unlocks too. But all your items, your craftables, your bases, your unlocks should all still be there for you. You just need to do the story stuff, otherwise it will be there on the menus on the screen. So there are 3 new base defense modes. Faction reactivity. Bugs will take the fight back to your base when they get tired of you intruding on their territory or killing their kind. It triggers not just by killing their actual ants, you will obviously trigger it if you are around the area as well. So if you've been wondering and seen a lot of videos, this has cleared things up a lot. It's not just about how many creatures you kill, it is about the amount of time that you spend in certain zones. That's all going to contribute to the faction reactivity. During the early access and the PTB, they really did tweak this a lot. They've made it more powerful but less frequent, so you won't get attacked as much by the bugs, but when they do hit, they could be hitting pretty hard. So you're probably going to need to make sure you've got a good base defense location now more than ever, and to make sure you are utilizing some of the defense capabilities. Then they've got the waft emitter. This is going to pretty much allow you to create custom content. This is one of the game mode features that you'll be able to keep replaying, set challenges for yourself or your friends, or simply just go ahead and get some more bug parts. Put a bunch of the rotten bug parts inside the waft emitter and all the other bugs will come to the yard, and you'll have to defend your base from them as they attack. It opens up the possibilities for so much to do with hall defense game modes, mini modes, challenges with you and your friends, and much more. And then finally, the mixers. Obviously these are in 5 locations across the yard so far, and they're pretty much going to be wave defense again. Trigger them and you get a chance to get 2,000 science points by completing each one. And they will give you a big selection of different bugs. If you do the one in the haze, you're going to get a bunch of infected. If you do the one in the sandpit, you're going to get a bunch of antlions. If you do the one in the flower bed next to the barbecue grill, you're going to get mosquitoes and black ant soldiers. If you do the one in the hedge, you're going to get orb weavers, orb juniors, and some of them horrible tiny little larvae. And if you do one in the grasslands, you're going to get attacked by ants, some infected. So really does set up new challenges and gives you a great chance to catch up on some of the unlocks that you might not have been able to get since you're not maybe a big fan of the daily quests like I am. This is going to be a much more challenging, maybe satisfying way to earn some more science points too. It's not going to be easy, they're pretty challenging and tough setting these up. You will need to do base defense features like putting walls up and more fortifications around some of them. But then again, some of the others that seem like they could be done maybe solo, as long as you had really decent upgraded armor and weapons. And of course there is a brand new mutation, guard dog, which goes up to level 3, which I do believe you need to complete all 5 mixers to unlock. So it looks like they're going to be adding more mixers in the future. This will give you bonus stats when you're doing base defenses. So not mixers, but actual base defenses. So it's a good mutation to have. You go and do the mixers, you'll get extra help when facing off against the factional defenses. One of my favourite new features is of course the brand new card system. Every time you peep a creature now, it's going to reveal a card, and you've got a chance of getting a golden version of that card, which will come with rewards in the future. But for now, these cards are great because they'll show weaknesses, resistances, as well as maybe some little factoids about some of the bugs and creatures. You'll also now be able to access the science shop, the burgle quest, and molar and fusion upgrades from any of the ASL terminals that you normally find at science research stations. You have to just go and speak to Burgle first, and then you should be able to find these elsewhere. No more running all the way back to the oak tree just to pick up a quest or turn in and grab some science points. Of course, they added the charcoal canteen and the charcoal torch, upgrades basically for mid to late game, so you don't have to keep redoing some of the more boring kind of stuff in Grounded. And lots of quality of life features like being able to rename your saves, rename containers. I honestly think this is one of the best updates going. They've also obviously added the brand new turrets, the Pebblet turret and the Pollen turret. The pollen is meant to be bringing down flying insects, it will basically stun them, and the pebblets is obviously more about damage. And of course we've got the new burr traps, the exploding ones. These things will explode as soon as something spicy hits it, like spicy arrows or spicy sword or weapon. And a big one that has caused a lot of back and forth between the community and has been adjusted a bunch of times, so ignore everything you've seen from YouTubers like me and others showcasing stuff off, but Armour has had a massive rework. Now I could rattle off all of this jargon, but for the common player, what do you just basically need to know? Well, you need to know that you can upgrade all of your armour now up to level 5 using grub plates. And this is going to help mitigate certain damage and it's going to increase the durability. Armour's also had a rework in terms of light, medium and heavy and what they do or what benefits they give you. There's a whole huge paragraphs about percentages and what the different types are between threshold and reduction, but I feel we just keep it simple. Each time you upgrade your armour with grub leather plates, you increase the durability and the damage threshold by 5% with each level up. So grub leather plates are pretty much the quartzite kind of deal. Once you've upgraded level 5, you've then got a choice to either go bulky or sleek. If you go down the bulky path, each upgrade that you do from 6 to 9 is going to increase the durability and the threshold by 10%. So if you upgrade from levels 1 to 5, you can increase the durability and the protection by about 20%. And then if you carry on going all the way up to level 9, you're basically giving your armor sets a 60% extra durability as well as a 60% extra protection in threshold damage. For these bulky upgrades though, levels 6 and 7, you're going to need berry leather plates, another new resource. And for levels 8 and 9, you're going to need pupa leather plates. And of course, the sleek upgrades and the bulky, you're going to need obviously to grind a lot of these resources like the berry and the pupa into leather scraps and then combine it into actual leather plates. The other option is sleek. Instead of 10% level ups, it's only going to give you 5% from 6 till 9. So instead of an overall boost by 60%, you're only actually going to get a boost by 40% if you go down the sleek path. But of course the sleek does come with an extra perk or bonus for each armor set that will give you some extra buffs. They haven't actually listed all of them perks here, but I will go through them in a separate video now it's been finalised. But effectively they'll do things like either replenish your health, keep the regeneration delay of your stamina to go quicker, or create a dust cloud that might allow you to do more stun damage. You're still going to need to upgrade it with berry leather plates and pupa leather plates at the same levels to get the sleek path. You're just simply choosing either that extra 20% increase from 40 to 60 or having a perk. And as I said, they've adjusted the light, medium, heavy armour as well. The penalty for heavier armours is now stamina per weapon swing instead of stamina regen delay. Light armour is going to give you a 10% damage reduction and 5% more stamina cost to attack. Medium armour is going to give you a 20% damage reduction and 15% more stamina cost to attack. And heavy is going to give you a 30% damage reduction but a 25% more stamina cost to attack. Now it might sound harsh and I know a lot of people are grumpy about the fact that it seems like it's just kind of nerfed armour. But when you factor in that we've also got double the amount of stamina now where you can get even more combo hits in, it should make the game a little bit easier to play in the long run. You'll also now be able to repair all your weapons and armours with the brand new glue. The repair glue can be crafted at the glue factory, which is still a work in progress at the moment, but it's pretty much the old mixer table. You only need to repair weapons with this glue at levels +6. Weapons and armour 0, 2 through 5, they'll just use their normal recipes. So if you've got grub armour, you might need some grub pieces to repair it. But once it gets to level 6 and higher, you're going to need that repair glue, which you can only actually get by mixing up bug parts and getting it from them. Also, when you factor in some of that rework, again, might still feel a bit too hard. Well, most of the creatures now have weak points. So you'll be able to do additional damage to these weak points, again making combat easier. It does say though that certain weak points are only affected by specific damage attack types. You'll be able to see these weak points on all of the creature cards. A special VFX sparkle will play when the player successfully hits a weak point. And if all that is too much for you, well guess what? You can go ahead and change the difficulty of the game, make it a bit easier, as long as it's not in creative mode. Although a little bit disappointing at the moment, you can't adjust games that aren't in custom mode. Now I swear I heard them say you'd be able to do this. So if you've already started up a world, it doesn't look like you won't be able to actually change or edit it unless it already was a custom world. And yeah, I feel like they should try and do something with that and allow people to be able to add that in the future. You'll also be able to change difficulty, the bugs ignore players, the building integrity, the player damage, friendly fire, pet invincibility, hunger thirst drain, stamina drain, equipment durability, food spoiling, menu pause in the game, faction reactivity, so if you don't like the actual defense parts you can turn it off, and backpack items on death. The only things you can't change mid-game are recipes unlocked and free, bug spawning and quests. And if that sounds like too much ease, well guess what, no more cheese. A lot of the bugs now jump, they've got much more improved AI, they won't just simply stay there, they'll strafe around you and try and get at you a lot quicker. A few other nice features like the take all option on sap collectors and a big rewrite on story and quest progress. Basically the early game has been changed quite a bit, but you might need to go and redo some of it if you want to keep up to date with the story for the next update. Also some new changes as well, if you die you won't necessarily spawn back at the backpacks anymore or the where you start in the game. You'll actually spawn at the nearest discovered field station if no respawn point is set. You'll get more food from biddy hogs and apples, just like it is when you shoot berries. Once these big nodes fall, you'll then be able to attack them to get even more. Biddy hogs now grant spoiled meat in addition to their other loot, and they've also increased the milk molar HP upgrade values, so you'll get even more bonus health out of these. Lint rope now only costs 2 lint to craft as well, meaning you'll be able to hopefully craft some late game armors and stuff a bit easier too. So they've called it a minor stamina rework. When stamina is fully depleted, you'll now enter an exhausted state. It lasts for 3 seconds. You can't perform any actions that require stamina while exhausted. After exhaustion ends, all stamina is recovered instantly. Some systems such as First have been changed to interact with exhaustion time instead of stamina recovery speeds. And stamina recovery speeds and delays work as normal in all other circumstances. Stamina cost for swinging all weapons has been halved, so you will be able to get more combos in. Big bunch of mutation changes. Mithridism now has a stage 3. You need to kill 10 wolf spiders to get 75% poison damage. It is a bit of a nerf, but they've just spread it out over 3 stages instead of 2. And this is good. You shouldn't be able to negate completely poison. It makes the game too easy. So when you get to level 10 of killing 10 spiders, you now at least got a 75% reduction. Little Fist has also had a 3-stage mutation added. You need to kill 200 creatures to get the stage 3, and you get a 75% chance on hits, gain a damage up buff for unarmed attacks. This can stack, so you can pretty much do combos and clear out a bunch of enemies very quickly. Cardio Fan now also decreases exhaustion time on top of its previous effect of increasing stamina regen speed. They've made Cardio Fan actually useful. And Reliable Friend, they've done something with that as well. Stage 1, you'll be able to revive people 25% quicker. Stage 2, 50% quicker. And Stage 3, 75% quicker. Also, Daredevil now decreases full damage by 50% and prevents dying from falling in almost all situations. So, alongside other quality of life, zipline speed has improved and they nerfed a bug during the testing that basically players were dying once they were falling or down from it. So you will slow down when you get into the end of it just to reduce that falling damage. They have upgraded the engine to Unreal 4.27. And I've got to say, I don't know if it's just me, but I think the game is the best looking it's ever been. The water effects, the lighting, there's just something more special about it. It seems brighter, it seems sharper. Absolutely loving it. Some new tracks and new language and accessibility options. And as I mentioned earlier, AI has had a massive rewrite. Creatures have had their attack frequency and cooldowns adjusted. Stamina cost for swinging all weapons is halved. Daggers now deal slashing damage instead of chopping damage. Daggers can no longer harvest plants requiring chopping damage while above water. Underwater harvesting functionality remains unchanged. The creatures are going to be able to navigate between separate navigable regions. All Weaver Juniors are now tier 1. They're not going to be as OP as they used to be. Dust hazards no longer deal durability damage. And repair hammers repair more building HP per use. Pet corpses are going to drop held items and memorials when they decay. Pets now take 3 times as long to get unhappy, and they'll lose happiness 50% slower when equipped with any sort of hat. More improvements to subtitles and HUD notifications. Map location marker for current spawn point will show up no matter how far away from it you are. The tech upgrades can be purchased by double clicking on them. The resource surveyor interface now sorts the available resources. And they've also added more deposit and retrieve options to item context menus in containers. The smoothie recipes are shown in the crafting interface now, but you're still going to need the smoothie station to actually see them. A notification noting your equipment took damage or durability on respawn now displays, and it seems this has been tuned down a little bit as well. So basically your armors and weapons won't be destroyed as much every time you die. You get a choice to respawn at the kid case when you die, or again, like I said, you will respawn close to one of the science points. And you can now load a last save option to the death screen. Zipline anchors can now be relocated if no lines are attached. The game's going to tell you better when you can actually build in combat or not. You'll now get ingredients when you destroy some of the stuffed creatures. The grinder is cheaper materials to craft now. And I've got a few issues with building that have been fixed as well. Triangular walls and floors can now be correctly placed against each other. And lots of places where snap walls were incorrectly considered obstructed have been fixed. Although it does seem that some grid buildings can no longer have other buildings placed overlapping them in specific cases. And you can now put small benches and stuff underneath stairs. They've upgraded the Steam version of the game to DX12, that might be why it also looks great. And they've got a few other things to do with world resources. Dandelion Tufts world items will now only stay active for 8 hours before being blown away. The Pond Dome exterior lights will turn off during the day. Remove the puzzle button and Tase T-Fight from the Oak Lab. So the Oak Lab will be a much safer place to go for your first time. The landscape outside the yard is no longer an empty void. They've also obviously added some parts to the upper yards, but they're not finished. So while you can go and explore and check out some new cool stuff, I wouldn't advise building any bases there as they're not finished. They've replaced some of the normal all weavers in the hedge with the juniors. And now grubs are going to drop 3 hides on average with a chance of dropping up to 8. This has been feedback about repairing and upgrading your armors, as most of them did need grub kind of material, so now you'll be able to get more of it quicker. They've also added more spawns of the grubs in damp locations. Dust mites are now less tanky, HP reduced by 20%, damage T or DT reduced by 12%, and resistance reduced from 50 to 25%. So it should make it a bit easier to go and also get some of that lint. Now you can't stack the same smoothie anymore, but you can still stack different smoothies as long as you drink different ones. And roasted meat now restores health when consumed in addition to its other effects. There's a whole bunch of fixes that I'm not necessarily going to go through together, but I will leave the link in the comment section as always. So there we go, a huge update. It's got so many changes, but so many good stuff. I honestly think the base defense, if you embrace it, try it out, try the mixers, you'll definitely start turning the reactivity on, because it just freshens up the experience of surviving. Grounded is a survival game. It's meant to be a little bit of a grind, getting them great resources to make great armor and weapons. And I think every great survival game has some sort of mechanic where you have some sort of defense or some sort of replayability. And that's what so much of this does. So I'm going to be championing this as much as possible because I don't want them to remove it. There we go. Let me know what you think about the update. I will have more concise videos, lots of guides on all of this again. Now it's finalized, giving you complete lowdown. So until then, I'll catch you ratbags later.